Hey, good morning, guys. It is November 10th. Chambers is in 1 Thessalonians 3. It's just a short um, excerpt from this. Paul is writing to the Thessalonian church, and he's saying he's talking about sending Timothy, a fellow laborer, in the gospel. A fellow worker and spreading the gospel of Christ is the way the NIV puts it. Chambers takes that and runs with it. What does it mean to be a laborer in the gospel of Christ? And he's talking about, after sanctification, what it looks like to be useful to God. He says if you seek great things for yourself, Chambers is saying here, God, like this, again, Chambers' voice, God has called me for this and that. You're putting a barrier to God's use of you. Okay, so this idea that I can define how God's going to use me, and I think it's even sometimes dangerous to tell people God has great things in store for you. God has a great plan for your life. That goes without saying because God is a great planner. But this idea that God's great plan for your life is going to be full of blessing and great positions and speaking into people's lives. And while a lot of that is true, you should be speaking into people's lives. His plan for you, like we talked about the other day with Romans 8:28, might include a lot of suffering and turmoil. And if he saw fit to make his son suffer, then why wouldn't he also have some of his servants be subject to that same kind of suffering? And so I think it's really important that we don't put God in a box as far as how he's going to use us. And Chambers seems to echo that here. As long as you have a personal interest in your own character or any set ambition, you cannot go through into identification with God's interests, is what Chambers says. And he says he can crumple me up or exalt me later down here. This idea that God has not just the authority, not just the ability, but the right to use me in any way he sees fit. And that is a real thorn for a lot of us. A thorn in our saddle. No, it's not. A briar in my... I can't remember the old expression, but the expression is basically indicating that that we get something that just doesn't, and we kick, and he actually says to Paul one time, why do you kick against the goads, when he's confronting Paul, and basically saying, listen, you need to be compliant because you are a servant and I am your master. And as uncomfortable as it sounds to say this, the idea that I own you, when we say that, there's this definitely kind of a repulsive feeling, like I own you. Like we say it in sports sometimes, like, oh, he owned you, like when you are you're dominating somebody. It's not that at all. But this idea of once I give up my right to my right to myself, that he does own us, is something that's very, first of all, it's uncomfortable, but secondly, it's really comforting to know that, oh, the one who knows all, who sees all, and wants the best for me, owns my future, owns where he's going to take me. Then what better place could I be? So this idea of being owned as a servant, as a slave, is something that I think we have to get used to. He says down here at the end, self-pity is of the devil. If I go off on that line, I could not be used by God for his purpose in the world. And I think that's one of the things that we really need to be careful of, is self-pity, this idea that, first of all, well, not just self-pity, but self-exaltation, like, oh, I deserve more, he's going to use me in a better way, I'm going to be useful to God. That idea that think too much of myself, or this other place that we come to that we think, well, this isn't fair. This isn't fair. Anytime you catch yourself, or I catch myself saying this isn't fair, just think of the cross, and you think, yep, wasn't fair at all. It sounds like the opposite of fair, but yeah, but he owns us. He owns you. He owns me. So, anyway, sorry, a little bit different, different flavor today. You guys have an awesome day.